In ancient Rome, the architect Lucius was famous for his amazing baths, also called baths. However, lately all of his clients have been rejecting his ideas because they think he's stuck in the past and can't come up with anything creative. At home, his wife constantly nags him because they have little money and he refuses to have a child. One day, Lucius' friend takes him to the public bathhouse because he needs to relax. However, Lucius believes that it is impossible to relax there because it is full of loud and curious people. Since needs some peace and quiet to think, he decides to go underwater and stay there as long as possible. At this moment, he notices that the water is moving quite quickly along the wall of the bathtub and looks closer, but suddenly a strong current pulls him into the hole. Within minutes, Lucius is pulled through the mysterious tunnel, which is full of water, but the current is too strong to swim through. Lucius is unaware of this, but he has arrived in modern Japan, and now, a few old men in a public bath are looking at a strange foreigner who suddenly jumped out of the water. Lucius assumes that these people belong to the Flat-Face tribe and begins to explore the place, quickly surprising with all of his innovations. Even simple things like baskets amaze him, but when it comes to machines like massagers or faucets, he estimates there are slaves hidden there moving things. Meanwhile, manga artist Mami is once again denied her story. She goes to S bathhouse while Lucius accidentally enters the women's locker room and a screaming woman knocks him out by throwing something at his head. Mami is very impressed by Lucius' physique and is immediately attracted to him, but he soon finds himself being taken by women. When he wakes up, Guy shares his drink with him and even teaches him how to open a bottle. Lucius takes a sip of and is so overwhelmed by the taste that he cries before passing out. When Lucius awakens in the year, he finds himself in ancient Rome. The men in the bathhouse explain that he drowned in the bathtub and that the number has only now been found. For a moment, Lucius wonders if it was all just a dream, but then he notices an empty bottle of next to him. 2 months later, the bathhouse was completely renovated thanks to Lucius' ideas, which essentially involved copying everything he saw in Japan. In People Love All Little Things, from baskets to new drinks in small bottles, and in there are even cars driven by slaves. Everyone is happy and Lucius is finally earning money again. One day, in Room, an old man is relaxing in the water and dreams of having such a bathhouse at home. Underwater, Lucius begins to wonder if this is possible, but suddenly he is swept away by the current again. This time he appears in the bathroom of a house in modern Japan, and soon old man comes in and asks for help with washing. Lucius is confused and doesn't understand the language, but old man is patient and teaches him how to use all the items, such as the shower head and a hat that prevents shampoo from getting on his face. At that moment, Mami enters the bathroom because it turns out that this number is her home. She is very happy to see Lucius again and runs to get her sketchbook while Lucius accidentally tries to spray the spray that got in his eyes. When Mami returns, Lucius has disappeared. Returning to Rome, Lucius again copied Japanese ideas and built the first private bath in Indiana. His innovation becomes a sensation again and he earns a lot of money, but things aren't looking any better at home. His wife is still unhappy because she wants a child, but Lucius spends all his time at work. An argument breaks out as a result by the emperor, who has heard about Lucius' inventions and now wants to meet him at the bathhouse. On his way out, Lucius bumps into the emperor's nephew Sionius, who is very arrogant and throws very rude comments at him. Lucius is nervous because rumors say the emperor is very cruel and has killed politicians who opposed him, but when he finally meets him, Emperor Hadrianus treats him well. Hadrianus says he loves art and thinks that what Lucius has done with the bathhouse definitely counts as art, which he proves by letting the moonlight glow into the bathhouse. In fact, he's so impressed that he wants Lucius to make him his own personal bathhouse, but it must be full of innovative ideas that haven't been done yet. Lucius happily accepts the challenge and wanders through the city of that night, looking for inspiration and creativity, but to no avail. He begins to worry that all the ideas he has been using lately have been stolen when he suddenly falls into a ditch and disappears. Meanwhile, Mami has taken a job at a merchandise store because her manga career is going nowhere, but the job is so boring it's hard to sleep. When she accidentally leaves the tap running, the bathtub fills up and suddenly Lucius appears in it. He panics when he feels something strange moving around him until he notices that the bathtub is bubbling and staying warm on its own, which greatly impresses him. Then Mami's manager appears, scolds her, covering himself with towel. Lucius begins wandering around to find out more, so Mami has to follow him and keep out of trouble. Lucius believes she is working as his maid and gives her a coin. Lucius soon becomes and learns all about modern furniture and personal care products, including how soothing scented candles can be. Suddenly, he has to relieve himself and runs around until he finds a bathroom. Is shocked to find that the toilet opens on its makes him cry and disappear. Meanwhile, Mom gets fired and goes home with the coin and toga, very happy with the result, and gives Lucius a special necklace in the shape of a man's tail with a dog's butt. Lucius proudly runs home to show his wife the necklace, only to find her because he doesn't want to have a child, and the couple eventually separates. Meanwhile, Mommy gives an even lat. One of the buyers turns out to be a professor and agrees to look at the coin and the toga. After some tests, the professor confirms that both objects were created hundreds of years ago. Unfortunately, things aren't going well at the hotel and my mother's parents won't be able to support her for long. So they sign up with a dating agency to find her a husband. One day, the right hand of the Emperor Antoninus, who was worried about Hadrian, came to the imperial baths and on the way discovers Sionius, who is violently treating a woman there. The interruption allows the woman to escape in, and Sionius insults Lucius again before festival. Thinking he is their blessing, they pounce on him and sends him underwater again. When he tastes a banana, he likes the taste so much that he decides to keep it and take it home to games. Lucius shows off his archery skills, and while he's distracted, Monkey steals his banana. An angry Lucius chases the animal until he finds the hot springs, finding the idea of an out in the water and rushes to grab it, only to be dragged back to Rome. A few days later, Adrian learns that his troops are under attack by rebels who need a better leader. The soldiers are sent to fight the rebels, but the rebels do not give up and the fight lasts for several months. More than his arrogant behavior will lead to the downfall of the Roman Empire. He decides to go to Sionius and refuse the task, so Sionius reminds him that this is considered treason and he could be executed for it. While pondering what to do, Lucius was approached by his rival architect, who was angry because Lucius had not received any commissions since his popularity, and from the inn, and Lucius notices the warmth emanating from the earth, which relieves his back pain. The old men then take him to the hot springs so he can rest and recover. Lucius sees their scars and thinks they are powerful warriors, when in fact they receive them through random, everyday incidents. The men also share the sake with him, but when it burns Lucius in the throat, he thinks it is poison and runs away. He finally finds Mommy and tells her that he was poisoned as he falls to the ground. Mommy has now learned enough Latin to understand him and lets him drink the hot spring water explaining that it has healing properties. Lucius gets up and thinks he's feeling better, but the sake still makes him dizzy and he lunges at Mommy, causing both of them to fall into the spring and go to ancient Rome. When they wake up, Sionius immediately attacks Mommy and tries to take her away, but is stopped by Antonin. Afterwards, Lucius goes home to pack his things, plans to escape to avoid execution for his integrity. Mommy tries to track him too but stops him but gets lost in the city. Just then, she hears a man reading the latest political news and remembers something from her history books. Meanwhile, in the present, the old men see Mommy's hat in the water and jump to save it, causing them to be pulled down as well. Back on, Lucius wanders outside the city and eventually finds a hot spring similar to the one he saw in Japan. Unfortunately, soldiers soon find him and send him back to his house. Mommy hugs him and tells him that Antonin is being sent to the province to deal with the rebels. She believes that Sionius did this as revenge for Antoninus saving her, but according to the story, that is not true. Sionius was supposed to be the one to go to the provinces and die of the plague, resulting in Antoninus takes the throne. It seems that their presence here changed history. Later, Lucius is sent to confront Sionius, whose arrogant comments confirm that he will be a terrible leader. Lucius feels that he has failed his people and is a failure who cannot come up with his own ideas, but Mommy gives a heartfelt speech pointing out that he is smart and innovative just because he's Japan, but was able to recreate everything in Rome with his own hands. Inspired, Lucius runs to Hadrian and says he wants to build a bathhouse on the battlefield to help the soldiers recover, so they will finally win the battle and Antonin won't have to leave for the province. Adrian agrees to the project and is not sure if he believes Lucius when he says it was Antonin's idea. Lucius and Mommy then go to a warm place he recently found to begin construction, but they don't have enough slaves to make them progress. At that moment, soldiers appear with old people from modern Japan, who immediately agree to help and have an idea to speed up the process. Instead of building an entire bathhouse, which would take years, They begin building small huts where the wounded can rest on the warm ground to recover from their wounds. They also dig a hole in the ground large enough for a hot spring and room for a group of soldiers. Over time, they build more huts and help more soldiers, which really helps them keep up in battle. Mommy also starts drawing signs and says Lucius inspired her to pursue her dream again. After a lot of hard work, the Romans finally win the battle and have a big celebration at the hot spring. This evening, Mommy and Lucius spend some quality time together. Lucius smiles at her for the first time, which makes Mommy cry. Her body begins to wither and Lucius realizes that he cried every time he was sent back to Rome. Mommy says goodbye and returns to Japan. A few days later, Adrian holds a public ceremony to congratulate Antoninus on his great idea and announces that he will send Cyaneus to the province instead. He also says that Lucius deserves recognition and congratulates him in front of everyone, causing Lucius to cry. Currently, Mommy is happy that her manga has finally been accepted by a publisher who is impressed with her story based on Lucius. On the way home, she is shocked to see Lucius coming out of the fountain. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.